It was a story of passion, betrayal, and a relentless quest for revenge that wove a sinister web around Bergen and ultimately led to her untimely demise. At the heart of it all was Hollis Service, Bergen's ex-husband, whose twisted love and jealousy drove him to commit the unthinkable. The chilling events that followed shook the nation to its core, sending shockwaves through the music industry and capturing the world's attention. Bergen Sarbilmiser was a shining star in Turkey's music scene, her voice captivating audiences across the nation. She was an artist whose music resonated deeply with her fans, bringing joy and inspiration to countless lives. But her life was cut tragically short by an act of senseless violence, leaving a nation to grieve the loss of one of its most cherished talents. On this episode of Killer Bites, we delve into the twisted tale of Bergen's life and death, exploring the dark underbelly of fame and the dangers that lurk beneath its glittering surface. Bergen's childhood was filled with love, laughter, and the company of her 6 older siblings. As the youngest and only girl in the family, she was adored by everyone and enjoyed a carefree life spent playing with her siblings and exploring their neighborhood. Despite their lack of wealth, the family was always happy and content with what they had. However, everything changed when Bergen's parents divorced. The family was split up, and Bergen and her mother moved to Ankara, where Bergen had to start over and make new friends. She enrolled in Yeni Mahal Yunus Emre Primary School, where she discovered her passion for music. Bergen was a natural at singing and could play the mandolin like a pro. Her teachers and classmates were impressed by her talent, and with their support, Bergen continued to practice and grow, building a new life for herself in the world of music. Determined to aim high, Bergen set her sights on the well-known Ankara State Conservatory. The entrance exams were a big challenge, but she was passionate about her music and practiced tirelessly, day and night, to improve her skills. On the day of the exam, her nerves nearly got the better of her, but she held her resolve and delivered a flawless performance that seemed to be spun from the threads of a dream. Bergen was overjoyed when she won first place in the piano department, a significant achievement that opened the door to a new chapter in her life. From that moment on, Bergen dedicated herself to music, pouring her heart and soul into every performance. Bergen's talent blossomed, and she became a rising star in Turkey's music scene. Her unwavering dedication and passion for music drove her to new heights, earning her the admiration and respect of her fans and peers alike. She dove right into the world of piano and cello, and her love for music grew even stronger. She had dreams of a musical career, but they still felt a bit out of reach. Money problems were a harsh reality, and Bergen had to make a tough choice. She left her studies and got a job at the PTT, the Turkish Federal Post Office. There were rumors going around about her getting married in 1977 and having a child, but her family denied those stories. That same year, Bergen's singing talent really started to shine. She went to the Feyman nightclub. It was their favorite place to go out, and one night when she was with her friends, the club's owner, Ilhan Feyman, heard her singing. He offered her a chance to become a singer at his club, and she jumped at the opportunity. Bergen joined the band and sang a mix of Turkish classical music and pop. She was like a magical performer on stage, captivating her audience and quickly becoming a big part of the club's nightlife. Later, she got an offer to sing at the Kuyubaşı Club in Adana, and she took her talent to a new stage. For 8 months, she sang her heart out, lighting up the night with her incredible voice. That's when she met Hollis Service, a man who would change her life forever. Hollis, who was already married with 3 kids, couldn't resist Bergen's charm. He sent her flowers every night and watched her perform at the club. Even though he was married, Bergen was drawn to him, and they started a secret relationship. Hollis wanted to marry Bergen and promised to start a new life with her. She was hesitant at first, but eventually agreed, hoping for a fresh start. Sadly, their marriage turned out to be a lie, and Bergen felt betrayed. She tried to leave Hollis, but he wouldn't let her go. His violent behavior took a heavier and heavier toll on her life, so she had to escape back to Ankara. There, she decided to start over and become a new person. Inspired by the Norwegian city of Bergen, she changed her name and embraced her new identity. She returned to the stage and sang in nightclubs, sharing her talent with the world. As she shared the stage with renowned artists such as Bülent Ersoy, Ibrahim Tatlıses, and Müjde Ar at the Ankara Başkent Casino, Bergen's determination to carve her name into the annals of music history burned like an untamed wildfire. Each performance became an act of catharsis, her heart and soul pouring forth into every note, weaving a tapestry of emotion that ensnared her audience. Bergen's unique voice, an exquisite symphony of power and vulnerability, combined with her magnetic stage presence, transformed transformed her into a celestial beacon that drew people from all corners of Ankara. They gathered like moths to a flame, their hearts ensnared by her enchanting song. Though her dreams had taken flight, the specter of Hollis's violence haunted her still, an unshakable ghost lurking in the recesses of her mind. Amidst the scars of pain and suffering, the fragile tendrils of love for Hollis still clung to the garden of her heart, their roots running deep and entwined with the hope that he could change, that he could blossom into the man she believed he could be. But like a wilted flower, that day never arrived, leaving her to chase a mirage of happiness that ever eluded her grasp. Instead, Bergen found herself ensnared in a never-ending game of cat and mouse, fleeing from the specter of Hollis's fury, seeking solace in the protective embrace of her friends and family. A relentless hunter, Hollis pursued her, his threats of violence echoing like thunder, his venomous words falling like hail upon her fragile spirit. Bergen found herself ensnared in a labyrinth of tangled emotions, yearning to escape Hollis's clutches, and yet feeling powerless to sever the chains that bound her. Bergen found herself stuck in a cycle of love and hate, unable to escape the storm. But things changed when she met Ahmet at the Bashkent casino, where she often performed. Ahmet was kind and gentle, and he was drawn to her incredible voice. Bergen was captivated by Ahmet's warmth, and they became close friends. He was there for her when she needed support, helping her through the ups and downs of her emotions. One day, Ahmet invited Bergen on an adventure away from the city and into the mountains. At first, she hesitated to leave her familiar surroundings, even for a day trip. But Ahmet's encouragement convinced her to take the chance. This guy promised her an unforgettable journey, and deep down, she couldn't resist the call of the adventure. So, together they set off on a trip that would change her life forever. As they traveled through lush forests, crossed sparkling rivers, and climbed towering mountains, Bergen felt a newfound sense of freedom. As the night came to an end, Ahmet and Bergen returned to Ankara, their hearts forever linked by this unforgettable experience. Bergen found someone who truly cared for her in Ahmet, and it offered her the promise of a brighter future. When the night drew to a close, Ahmet and Bergen retraced their steps back to Ankara, their hearts now entwined in the tapestry of a shared, unforgettable experience. It was a moment that would forever be etched into the chronicles of their lives. However, the fickle hand of fate dealt Bergen a devastating blow on a fateful night in the city of Izmir. She and her mother stood on the precipice of stepping into a taxi when a shadowy figure emerged, clutching a bucket in his hands. Unable to discern his visage, Bergen felt a cold wave of unease creep over her, like a shroud of mist descending upon the land. As her hand reached out to grasp the taxi door, the stranger hurled the bucket's contents in her direction. A searing, unbearable pain scorched her eyes, and the world around her plunged into a suffocating darkness. The chaotic aftermath was little more than a cacophony of screams and a whirlwind of touches to Bergen as hands reached out in a desperate bid to aid her. Her senses were overwhelmed and her vision shrouded in a black abyss. It felt as though she was drowning in a relentless sea, gasping for breath amidst the turmoil. Bergen Sarrealmeiser's life took a tragic turn when she was brutally attacked with nitric acid, an incident that left her clinging to life. Her injuries were severe and she was rushed to the hospital, where she spent 45 days fighting for her life. Bergen's face and body were horribly burned, and she lost her sight as a result of the attack. The doctors worked tirelessly to save her life, and her mother prayed for her recovery, hoping that Bergen would pull through the ordeal. Her friends, family, and fans rallied around her during her darkest hours, offering their support and encouragement. It was this outpouring of love that kept Bergen going despite the immense physical and emotional trauma she had suffered. As Bergen slowly began to recover from the vicious acid attack, the police launched a thorough investigation to find her attacker. The nation was reeling from the shocking crime, and the pressure was on to bring the perpetrator to justice. The search was exhaustive, and the authorities left no stone unturned in their quest for answers. Eventually, they uncovered evidence that led them to Hollis Service, Bergen's ex-husband. It was a chilling revelation, one that sent shivers down the spine of the nation. The thought that someone could carry out such a brutal attack on someone they had once professed to love was almost too much to bear. It was discovered that Hollis had ordered the attack, hiring a hitman to throw nitric acid in Bergen's face. The fact that he had previously threatened Bergen with such an attack if she ever tried to leave him made the crime all that more heinous. However, this time, Bergen did try to distance herself from him, and as a result, Hollis carried out his evil plan. Hollis was eventually arrested and sentenced to 13 years in prison for his crime. The sentence was a small comfort to Bergen, who never fully recovered from her injuries. The attack had left a deep scar on her life, both physically and emotionally. It was a trauma that would stay with her forever, a haunting reminder of the dangers that lurked in the shadows. But despite the unimaginable pain and suffering she had endured, Bergen refused to let the attack define her. She was a strong and resilient woman, a true fighter who refused to let the darkness consume her. Her story became a source of inspiration for many, a beacon of hope for those who had suffered in silence. The acid attack left a lasting impact on Bergen's life and music career. Before the tragedy, she was a bright star in the Turkish music scene, captivating audiences with her enchanting voice and stage presence. After the acid attack, Bergen's life took a drastic turn. She was left partially blind and scarred, both physically and emotionally. It was a difficult journey with years of healing needed for both her body and mind. Bergen had to adapt to a new life, living in a new world that she couldn't avoid. She faced depression, anxiety, and the trauma of her past, but still her love for music never faded. Determined to heal and regain her place in the music industry, Bergen committed to extensive medical treatments. She faced countless surgeries, skin grafts, and procedures to restore her appearance. Music found its way back into her heart, and she composed songs that reflected her journey. She knew the road ahead was tough, but she was determined to face any trials with the same spirit that had carried her through already. She released several albums, each one a tribute to her resilience and her strength as an artist. Her music became a symbol of hope, showing that even the darkest moments could be overcome with perseverance and determination. Bergen also used her platform to speak out against domestic violence. She became an advocate, shedding light on this important issue. Through the benevolent collaboration with composer Cengiz Özgür, Bergen orchestrated her grand return in 1983, gracing the stage at the club owned by Özgür himself in Izmir. It was a tumultuous period for Bergen as the specter of the attack continued to haunt her, leaving emotional scars that were slow to heal. Her music continued to resonate deeply within the hearts of her listeners throughout Turkey. In 1985, Bergen unveiled her album İnsan Severs, a critical and commercial tour de force that served as a testament to her enduring resilience and prodigious talent. It was a poignant reminder that even in the face of adversity, Bergen remained a formidable presence in the music world. She continued her triumphant ascent with the release of her subsequent album Aşinar Kadını in late 1986. Selling over 1 million copies and garnering numerous accolades, it marked a redemptive moment for Bergen, who had weathered incredible storms to regain her hard-earned position. In 1987, she ventured into uncharted territory with her acting debut in the film Woman of Pain, written and directed by Ülkü İrakalin. Embracing this novel challenge with her characteristic enthusiasm and prowess, Bergen embarked on yet another creative journey. However, tragedy struck once more as she prepared for a concert in Adana when a photographer lunged at her with a knife, leaving her wounded. Although Bergen survived the attack with only minor injuries, it served as a chilling reminder of the perils that lurked in the shadows for a public figure of her stature. In defiance of the attack, Bergen persisted in her performance and music production, her spirit unbroken and her talent undimmed. In the years that followed, she crafted and released a series of albums including Burn Him to God, Sevgimin Bedeli, and İstemi Yorum. Meanwhile, it was evident that Bergen's relationship with service was a tangled web of emotions and complexities haunting her until her final days. Bergen's ascent to stardom was as swift as it was brilliant, yet it was tragically paralleled by the darkness that enshrouded her personal life, which was marred by violence and sorrow. In the end, it was the very violence that had once targeted her that ultimately consumed her. News of Bergen's brutal murder spread like a ravenous blaze, sending shockwaves rippling through Turkey's music industry. Fans and loved ones alike grieved the loss of one of the nation's most gifted and cherished artists. The chilling circumstances of her murder cast a long shadow over Bergen's life. Halis Service, the very man who had tormented and abused her for years, had finally unleashed his darkest impulses. In the past, he had threatened Bergen and her mother repeatedly, but on this fateful day, he made good on his ominous promises. As Bergen stood with her back turned to the flowers, Service drew a gun and fired without hesitation. The gunshots pierced the serenity of the day, and Bergen crumpled to the ground, succumbing to her mortal wounds. Bergen's mother, who had also been injured in the brutal attack, would later recount the harrowing moments leading up to her daughter's death. The raw pain and indelible trauma of that day would haunt her for the rest of her life, serving as a constant and agonizing reminder of the senseless violence that had ripped her daughter from her embrace. In the wake of the murder, a pall of mourning descended upon the nation. Fans and supporters, hearts heavy with grief, left flowers and messages of condolences at Bergen's final resting place in Tarsus, Mersin, Turkey. Bergen's mother, who had been her unwavering supporter and guardian, was consumed by inconsolable grief. The overwhelming pain of her daughter's passing weighed heavily upon her, and she withdrew into herself, donning black attire each day and speaking to Bergen's memory as if she still walked among the living. Despite the anguish and trauma that marked Bergen's tragic death, her enduring legacy continues to shine. Her music, imbued with life and passion, still resonates with fans today, and her story serves as a beacon of hope and inspiration for countless women who have faced the horrors of abuse and violence. The story of Bergen Sarrealmeiser is a harrowing and poignant one, illustrating the far-reaching consequences of domestic violence, the unwavering strength of the human spirit, and the resilience of a woman who refused to let darkness define her life. Abusive relationships are often characterized by a pattern of control and power, where one partner seeks to dominate and manipulate the other. Service's crimes against Bergen began in 1977 when he first beat her up, leaving her with a fractured skull. Despite the gravity of this attack, Bergen forgave him and returned to live with him, perhaps hoping that he would change. Unfortunately, the cycle of violence only intensified. Service's possessiveness and jealousy drove him to commit increasingly brutal acts against Bergen, culminating in the acid attack and eventually her murder. One cannot help but wonder how many other women have suffered similar fates at the hands of abusive partners, their stories untold and their voices silenced by fear. How can society ensure that no other woman has to endure the pain and suffering that Bergen faced? First and foremost, it is essential to strengthen the legal framework surrounding domestic violence. Laws must be enacted to protect victims and ensure that perpetrators are held accountable for their actions. Education is another crucial component in the fight against domestic abuse. By raising awareness of the issue and promoting healthy relationship dynamics, society can empower women to recognize the signs of abuse and seek help before it is too late. The importance of a strong support network cannot be overstated, as it can mean the difference between life and death for those trapped in the cycle of abuse. Despite the unspeakable pain and suffering he had inflicted upon her, Bergen chose to forgive him and even resumed contact with him after his release from prison. It is a decision that baffles and frustrates many, leaving them to question why she would return to the man who had caused her so much harm. While it is impossible to know for certain what motivated Bergen's actions, her decision may have been influenced by a complex interplay of emotional, psychological, and societal factors. The cycle of abuse can create a powerful bond between the abuser and the victim, making it difficult for the latter to break free from the relationship. Moreover, societal pressures and expectations may have played a role in her decision to reconcile with Service, as she struggled to navigate the stigma and shame that often accompanies being a survivor of domestic violence. This also highlights another chilling aspect of Bergen's story: the fact that her mother, who had been her staunchest defender and protector, was ultimately unable to save her from Service's violent rage. In her desperate attempt to shield her daughter from harm, Bergen's mother found herself caught in the crossfire, suffering injuries of her own during the fatal confrontation. The pain and guilt she must have felt in the wake of Bergen's death is unimaginable, a burden that she would carry with her for the rest of her life. The story of Bergen's murder also underscores the importance of addressing the pervasive issue of gun violence. The ease with which Service was able to obtain a firearm and use it to carry out his heinous act raises questions about the need for stricter gun control laws and regulations. By implementing measures to prevent firearms from falling into the hands of dangerous individuals, we may be able to reduce the risk of such tragedies occurring in the future. As we reflect on the life and legacy of Bergen Sarrealmeiser, we are reminded of the indomitable spirit that enabled her to overcome unimaginable adversity and continue to pursue her passion for music. Even in the face of darkness and despair, she never lost her determination to live her life to the fullest, inspiring countless others with her courage and resilience. It is through her music that she continues to touch the hearts and minds of those who hear it, serving as a beacon of hope and a testament to the power of the human spirit. Yet, even as we celebrate Bergen's triumphs, we cannot ignore the lingering questions and unresolved issues that her story raises. How can we, as a society, work to prevent the kind of violence that ultimately claimed her life? What measures can be put in place to protect and support women who find themselves trapped in abusive relationships? And how can we change the cultural norms and the attitudes that perpetuate the cycle of abuse and silence the voices of its victims? The answers to these questions may not come easily, but they are crucial to our efforts to create a world where women like Bergen can live free from fear and violence. By engaging in open and honest dialogue about the realities of domestic abuse and the impact it has on the lives of its victims, we can begin to chip away at the stigma and shame that often surround this issue. By fostering greater understanding and empathy, we can work towards creating a more compassionate and supportive environment for survivors as they seek to heal and rebuild their lives. The haunting story of Bergen Sarrealmeiser serves as a powerful reminder of the devastating impact that domestic violence can have on the lives of its victims and their families. As we work to create a world where women can live free from fear and violence, let us draw inspiration from Bergen's life and legacy, and strive to honor her memory by fighting for the rights and dignity of all women. In conclusion, the tragic tale of Bergen's sorrow miser serves as a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of domestic violence, and the urgent need for society to confront and address this pervasive issue. While the story of Bergen's sorrow miser may have come to a tragic end, her memory lives on through her music and the powerful impact she had on those who knew her. Thank you so much for watching Killer Bites. I'm Allie, and I'll see you next time.